Installing Craibm for Windows operating systems can be done in a few ways. R must be installed on your device. This can be freely downloaded from the internet. RStudio, the IED, is also recommended but not necessary. RStudio is also freely available to download from the internet. We'll be working in RStudio for these demonstrations. Our first installation of Craibm will assume that you have downloaded the .zip file with the latest version of Craibm. The second methods we'll discuss use the package pack or remotes, and they do not require you to have the zip file on your device. You should also either have the Craibm help tutorial as a docx or a PDF that has all the needed code for copy pasting, or you have downloaded the R Markdown file that has the code essentially ready to go. Method 1, install from a local zip file that you have already downloaded. Because a local package file does not automatically download all missing dependencies, we're going to run some code to figure out what dependencies might be missing. First, run this line to define the repository location. Hitting Control and Enter together will run the code. You don't need to highlight all of the code. You can just put your cursor at the end of a code block or code line and hit Control and Enter together to run code. You can also run everything in an R chunk in an R Markdown file by hitting the green arrow. Then let's run this code to define all the dependencies needed by Craibm. The next code to run will identify and install the missing dependencies. In this instance, FSA and scales were needed to be installed. The final code to run in this chunk will enforce the minimum versions required by this version of Craibm. Now we are going to set the working directory to the folder where the zip file exists. In this case, I already put in the location of the folder underneath the example location. I want to point out that if copy pasting the location will paste with backlashes. R needs forward slashes. These all need to be changed before submitting into the working directory line of code. Control Enter to run that line of code. Now we are going to install the package Craibm by itself. Keep in mind the name of the file must match exactly here, and .zip must be within this line of code behind that file name. Run that line of code to install, and it should say package Craibm successfully unpacked if all went well. Finally, the program can be launched within RStudio here with this last line of code. It's important to note that the R console, in this case RStudio, cannot be closed. It has to stay open when the application is running. So when that default browser pops up and Craibm is running, keep RStudio or the R console running in the background. Method 2, so we'll install from GitHub. First, you'll just want to verify that you have rtools on your device. rtools is almost always saved on the C drive, and it will say rtools 45 or rtools 44 depending on the version. Ideally, you want the rtools version to match your version of R, and you can check your version of R with this line of code. However, we have been able to successfully run Craibm with versions of R 4.6 and later with rtools 44. If you don't have rtools, it is freely available to download. The 64-bit version will likely be needed if you are using Windows 10 or 11 operating systems. You can also run this code to ensure that R can compile source packages. After you've confirmed that you can compile source packages, the first installation method we'll try using is pack. This is recommended because it's thorough check of missing dependencies. We'll first define a repository by running this line of code, hitting Control and Enter together. The following code to run will check for and install the pack package if needed. Finally, run the code that will install Craibm. This might take a while depending on how many other missing dependencies are needed. After the installation, run the line of code to launch the app into a default web browser. Again, the R console, RStudio in this case, must stay open in the background the whole time that Craibm is running on that browser. If pack doesn't work or you prefer using remotes, we will use remotes here to show you. We will first define a repository by running this line of code, hitting Control and Enter together. The following code to run will check for and install the remote package if it is needed. In this case, it's already installed, so nothing actually appears to happen in the console. Finally, run the code that will download Craibm in missing dependencies. There may be a prompt to install more recent versions. Typing 1 into the console and hitting enter will install all suggestions. You can also selectively choose what to install. A pop-up may appear asking permission to install. Hit yes. Again, this may take a while depending on all that needs to be installed. Once it's done, launch the app by running this line of code. Remember that the R console, or R Studio in this case, must be left open while the Craibm is working in the default browser. A quick option to launch Craibm works if you have a folder that contains a zip file of Craibm, the launch app R file, and the .bat file called start. So instead of going into R Studio and launching it that way, you can click start the bat file. A Windows command prompt opens and will automatically launch Craibm after it has checked for correct versions of Craibm as well as missing dependencies. Some users, when they hit this bat file, might get prompted to find the folder location of R. R is almost always saved on the C drive in program files. Find the folder R, and the folder location can be copy pasted or manually written into the Windows command prompt. Hit enter at the very end of the command line, and it will continue into launching Craibm.